Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today, we are continuing our Shall Be Armed little mini-series, and we have how a Roman Centurion shall be armed. For all I know, a Roman Centurion is basically like an officer. There might be some validity to that, but basically, we're going to be reacting, of course, to Alex the History Guy. Yesterday, we reacted to a Roman legionary, which we talked about how he was dressed, what he was wearing, how he was armed, kind of like the names of everything, etc., etc. Let's jump right in. Hit that like button, and let's go.
Centurions were one of the most famous types of soldiers throughout the Roman period. They were officers who controlled a century or centura.
Right. And century, yes.
Originally a group of 100 men, but later made into a standard unit for 80 men.
80 men and 20 helpers.
Some experts suggest that a further 20 men would be included in a centura, but they were mercenaries, so they aren't officially counted in the centura.
That's interesting. Of course, we watched the Historia Civilis video on like how a Roman legion is created, and you have like the decimal or the smallest unit of 10. You'd have 8 soldiers, you have 2 helpers, slaves, mercenaries, whatever you call it. So yeah, interesting.
First, the centurion wears his tunica, which features decorative stripes called clavii. These decorative tunics are often associated with officers in the Roman military.
He has leg protection. Remember yesterday, the regular legion, I mentioned no leg protection. He's got leg protection, so nice. So no chihuahuas will be nipping at his heels.
Leather boots are a reconstruction of a find from Vindolanda, which are dated to around the 1st century AD. Brass greaves protected the legs, and this type of greave had been in use for several centuries throughout the antiquity. Additional protection was required for a centurion, as they usually wouldn't be carrying a shield. It is believed that some greaves were likely lined with either leather or sheep wool to offer a level of comfort to the wearer. The leather subamalus provides a layer of padding before the armor is worn.
I remember yesterday we saw just like a red, it doesn't matter the color, but like a padded subamalus, which was like that second layer of clothing, which also acts as like a buffer between the armor and the person.
The material and decorative sleeves show a level of affluence.
Very much so. Wow. Crafty leatherwork.
Scale armor, called lorica squamata, is made of thousands of small scales, which can be made in a variety of materials including bronze, brass, tinned brass, or even iron. This example is made of bronze. Higher-ranking soldiers like officers and cavalry, or equites, preferred the lorica squamata. One reason for this is that officers often wore a collection of military rewards and emblems of achievement, so the lorica squamata was less likely to interfere with the wearing of these trinkets, as opposed to the lorica segmentata.
Yeah, you can already see, like, I mean, for example, the Centurion's going to have a little bit more armor because he doesn't have a shield, but it is hard for, like, tribes that may not have, I mean, some, like, we saw the Gallic tribes are the reason for the helmet adaptation, but there's got to be tons of tribes that the Romans fought off that just were so undersupplied on the armor facilities that created such a disadvantage for them on the battlefield comparatively, you have the Romans who have full armor, and Centurions have basically all the way down to their ankles with armor. Such a difficult person to beat.
Various forms of lorica squamata have been worn for thousands of years, from the ancient Greeks to the Byzantines. This style of armor was very popular around the Mediterranean and the Middle East, famously worn by the Persian cataphracts, who were very heavily armored cavalry units.
Heavy cavalry. Yeah. Okay.
A decorated scabbard is worn which will soon hold a gladius. The scabbard is a copy of an original found in the Rhine in Germany.
Wow.
A harness made up of military medals called a phallera is worn over the lorica squamata.
So this is kind of like, in today's time you have like on the like the rank and like the different the different medals someone could have, or words are escaping me. Basically, your different achievements right here on your chest. This is like a version of that. Clanky though. Get in the way. But also could be defensive at this.
This clearly shows the proud military victories by the Centurion, with
Maybe
each emblem being offered to officers, similar to how military medals are awarded today. The officer wears a beltius and cingulum, which holds a dagger called a pugio in a decorated scabbard. The cingulum does not provide protection, but instead it is another item to show off the soldier's status, being decorated in ornate rivets.
Honestly, it'd be interesting to see how much this weighs, because I mean it is metal, and like it'd be interesting to compare like a side by side, like a modern soldier, like an infantry soldier, a modern infantry soldier's like average weight that he is carrying, comparatively to like the average weight a infantryman of a Roman legion would be carrying.
The cingulum is also said to have acted as a weight when the centurion sits down, so his modesty is protected to avoid unintentionally flashing his soldiers. More likely, the main function of a cingulum is to make a loud metallic sound during a march, making the opponent fully aware that a well-trained military powerhouse is travelling ever closer to wreak havoc.
That's a crazy looking blade right there. If that's a replica, sheesh. I like that handle.
A pair of tinned brass torques are worn around the neck, designed to hang down on the chest in front of other military medals.
That does not look like it's a good thing to have. It looks like someone could just grab it and yank you.
These were usually awarded to the officer as gifts from their commander, and could come in a variety of materials such as brass, bronze, silver, or tinned brass.
Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe
The
not.
gladius is a reconstruction of the Mainz style, found in Germany, and is typically of an early-era Roman sword, being slightly broader than the later Pompey style. The gladius was designed primarily as a thrusting weapon, with the broad shape of the blade being made specifically to open up a large deep wound in an opponent, maximizing the chance of them bleeding out. But the gladius is also a powerful cleaving weapon, with the broadness of the blade also acting as a butcher's knife to easily hack through flesh and bone.
Interesting. Got the bracelets.
A helmet, named the gallia, is
Gallic.
worn to protect the head.
The only difference between his and the others is you got the feathers.
This version of helmet is called the Gallic Type F, and is based on a find from Centurion in France. It features
Obviously the feathers wouldn't have survived that. Maybe the stems would have, but it depends on where it was found. Like if it was found in a bog, it might have been interesting. How there's got to be some sort of like contemporary piece of literature or something that described how this looked, or drawings.
There's a transverse crest which helps the other soldiers on the battlefield identify him as a centurion.
Also makes him a target.
The crest can be made of horsehair or feathers. Unfortunately, we do not know the exact colours which were used, but blue, red, yellow and white were most likely.
And you gotta change those feathers every so often, you know, because obviously they're gonna deteriorate over time.
The Centurion equips his officers' staff. This is a traditional piece of kit which demands respect amongst his soldiers.
He probably hit a bunch of people though.
It can be used as a pointer, as well as a weapon of punishment and discipline to strike unruly soldiers.
Yep.
This staff has been carved into a snake. Serpents were popular animals in Roman culture as they resembled luck.
Really?
Although centurions didn't typically wear shields, this display shows how the armor moves during combat and how flexible it is.
I mean, he would pick up his shield if he had to.
Centurions were held personally responsible for training and maintaining their sentries, and as such they were paid significantly more than the standard soldier.
Yeah.
Soldiers could be elected to the position of centurion by the Senate, or they could rise through the ranks, with honourable acts of valour sometimes being a way to getting promoted, such as being the first to escalade over an enemy wall. Unlike other soldiers, centurions carried their sword on their opposite side, meaning that they would cross-draw in battle. It is unlikely that they would have engaged in melee combat if they could avoid it, as they would be prioritising their time in commanding their soldiers to ensure they remained a cohesive unit. I would like to give a massive thank you to the Longthorpe Legion Roman reenactment group who helped make this video possible.
Yeah. I thought we're gonna watch the rest of it.
Please support them by following their social media in the description below, and be sure to attend their incredibly authentic living history events to help keep this wonderful hobby of historical reenactment thriving in British culture for generations
I'd love to watch it in
come.
person. I would. Beautiful. So, very similar to the Legionary in terms of the setup. There's a little bit different armor. More specifically, better protection around the midsection, better protection at the shins. You got the insignia version of the transverse feather cap, Gallic type F. Like he said, they don't usually use shields. However, this one has one. They definitely would pick up shields if they had to. But interesting, you know, this is the person that would be responsible in training their entire century, 80 to 100 men by average. He would be paid more given that the status and what his responsibilities are. He's also a target with, you know, given his demeanor, he's going to be a target on the battlefield. So that's also a deterrent of wanting to become one. However, feels like this would be a easily be something a lot of soldiers would sought after in terms of their career if they want to become a centurion, to kind of advance themselves within the military line of work. But yeah, another great video by Alex the History Guy. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Until next time, peace out and bye-bye.